coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, Marvin Lewis, calls us from Arizona. Coach, thanks for calling into the program.
Good morning, Rich. How are you?
I am doing well. So you're already at the site of the annual meeting right now?
Yeah, I'm here in Arizona, and it's good. I kind of visited some colleges on the way out and looked at some players. But I tell you what, you get right into the controversy right away, don't you?
Well, you know what, Coach? Deep down, I am part of the paparazzi, and we like to stir things up. But in all seriousness, though, that is something that got so many fans talking and riled up, et cetera, and what does constitute a catch and what does not. Is that going to be on the table next week for the owners to discuss?
We've spent a lot of time looking at those plays. There's probably 3 or 4 this year or a couple this year. And in previous years, they're all part of a file that we go back and look at. And I think we have a pretty clean understanding that, the main thing is for the receiver is, if you go to the ground, hand the ball to the official, and, without the ball touching the ground and, on replay, the ball, as Dez is clutching it, it's on the ground, and that's why that was called an incomplete pass. And but again, it's a great acrobatic play, but one that the ball unfortunately touched the ground on, and it was a pretty clean call after that. As soon as I saw the replay, I said to the people I was there, I said that's going to be incomplete.
Well, there's no question that by letter of the law, Gene Steratore and his crew nailed it. I mean, as it is written in the rule book, not a catch. It's an incomplete pass. The only issue, though, as I brought up at the time, I'll bring up with you now, I'm wondering if it will be brought up for the owners to discuss and maybe change, is that in this day and age with receivers like Dez Bryant, like you have an A.J. Green in Cincinnati, big, tall guys for whom 2 steps could constitute covering 8-10 yards of ground, right. That it's no longer just something to say, ball's on the ground, it's touching the ground. It's the completion of the catch could go the entire chains of a first down. So my question is, why not just have it 2 steps? As long as there are 2 feet on the ground, it doesn't matter if you're going to the ground and the ball comes loose. And if it does, then it's a loose ball. Then it's up to you to make sure you're not putting the ball on the ground, Coach.
Well, I mean, that would still open up to objectivity, and it would you're trying to make this as bright line as you can, and then it would get in the debate of what are 2 steps, because for the official who's got to make this call in real time, that's very difficult, and with high definition television, everything we have right now, it's really put a lot of these things under heavier scrutiny because of the ability to slow it down frame by frame by frame, and it really makes it hard. But I will tell you that all the time we've spent looking at plays and so forth, our officials get these bang bang very quick calls right way more than they do ever wrong. And a continuing thing for the league is to continue to try to educate them as much as we can, and try to keep bright line standards as much as we can to take the gray area out of these things.
So do you think next week at some point with all 32 teams and membership and owners in a room that there will be a few moments for this to be discussed? Will that actually happen
Well,
next
it'll be discussed because, it's been brought up as an issue. So it'll be discussed, the fact that we have reviewed it and so forth, and what our findings are. And like anything else, now you're not going to get agreement. I'm sure the people from Dallas, Jerry and Steven, who serves on the committee with me,
yes.
Steven saw it different than the rest of us saw it. There's no doubt about that.
Interesting. Marvin Lewis joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Also next week, a lot involving instant replay will be discussed. Which of the conversations where everything is reviewable is a proposal that's on the table. Another one that personal fouls are reviewable, but by coach's challenge. And then there's one that says personal fouls are reviewable automatically, that the booth will buzz down and say, let's take a look at this helmet to helmet to see if they actually did collide, as opposed to helmet touching a part of the chest. Which one do you think has a chance of actually being passed, Coach?
Well, more of what you're just talking about, the last one, is defenseless players and so forth. So that standard to possibly be under review. But I would say that we've really looked hard at this, and it still gets into the same thing as, every game we play, some games have more camera angles than others. You're never going to please everybody with the outcome. And again, they do a very good job. We just want to continually, get our officials better and better. So I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. I think you're just going to have to wait and watch it on the network next week to see what happens.
Well, I'm just trying to pick your brain a little bit to see which one that you would be maybe whispering in the ear of Mr. Brown to say, let's vote on this one.
Mr. Brown is not for replay at any point. So.
I know that. That's true. That is true. I do remember one of the first annual meetings that I attended, if not the first one for the network in 04. He had to be convinced to keep replay permanent. That was even something he was not even considering, Coach.
Well, he's old school. He doesn't want things to occur that slow down the flow of the game. And, that's just what he believes. And he's going to be consistent in that belief. I'll tell you that.
So I'm sure he loves the Colts proposal that if you are successful on a 2-point attempt, then you get a shot to get a 9th point on a play from 50 yards away to kick a field goal. He must love that one. That must be a good one.
No, not one of the favorites.
I mean, that's an interesting one. There's also another one where the Bears are presenting a rule change that would award possession to both teams in overtime.
Yeah.
Would you like that one, Coach?
Yeah, well, we've kind of been through that, and I wasn't for what we have now. I think I was the one vote against what we have right now on the competition committee, but I guess there were 2 of us maybe. But either way, it is what we are right now. I think you got to play defense. Both sides got to play. We're awarded to have possession right now unless they score a touchdown. And if you can't keep them from scoring a touchdown, you don't deserve the ball.
So you're old school, too. Was that what you
I'm old school as well, I would say.
So do you like anything that's being proposed, Coach?
I think we're going to talk a lot about, things to do with player safety and continually, maybe expand some of the looks at those things and continue to make the game safer and safer. What we've been doing over the last probably 4 or 5 seasons has made a huge difference in our coaching and so forth, and we're going to continue to reinforce those things. But, there's not much, that I'm for right now that we've discussed, but we'll see how things come out next week when all 32 have an opportunity to vote.
Now, again, I know that you mentioned that it's been over the last several years you're talking about player safety. Of course, there's a newfound fresh discussion on it because of Chris Borland's retirement at age 24 to prevent him from taking a high-risk job continuously in the middle of a defense in the National Football League. Coach, where does that play into what the competition committee is working on?
Well, Rich, that's really I'll tell you what, that's a blow. The young man is a good football player. He's played at a high level, and he did a nice job this year. And it's, frankly, a shame. But you know what? Each of us, each player has to assume the risk that they assume and make the decisions they feel based for their future. And I'm a little, as I say, I'm disappointed for the game, for the National Football League, that a guy like Chris, decides to retire. But I understand it, and each guy's got to do that on their own volition all the time. So, but yeah, there's no question. Think that we're gonna, that's something that we want to try to avoid as much as possible.
Yeah, and the league put out a statement saying the game's never been safer. Concussions have gone down 3 years in a row, 25% last year alone, Coach. And before I let you go, there are many fans who are skeptical of those numbers. And for somebody like yourself, who is truly at the front lines in the competition committee and on the sidelines of what the league is attempting to do to make the game safer, I'd love to give you the floor to let fans know what you are doing as part of a collective effort on this front.
Well, Rich, I mean, the data, it's proven. And if you look at the video of our games and so forth, it's really showing up. The changing of the techniques. At some point, it got away from us where with the development and the lightweight equipment and so forth that our helmets and shoulder pads and everything has gotten, where, people got away from football the way it was taught back when, I don't, age myself, but when I started playing back when I'm 7, 8 years old, back in the 1960s, in 65 or so, I guess it was. So it's really changed a lot. And so we've gone back and looking at those standards and so forth and how we coach it and so forth and reinforcing with our players. And we are making a difference. And you can see it on the video. You can see it in the number of the calls and so forth. So, we're going to continually work hard at that. And, we're pressing it down with heads-up football down in the youth coaching and so forth in the youth leagues and then the reinforcement through high school and college.
Coach, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it. We'll see you down the road.
It's always a pleasure. My pleasure. Good to talk to you. We'll see you soon.
Same here.
Thank
That's
you.
Marvin Lewis.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.